Recordings. All right. Of course, I have to give my disclosure. I'm not a finance professor. Um, I know some of this, as the stuff I mentioned before, I don't know the later on in the stock stuff. So we're not gonna go over that stuff too much yet. We'll hit those later, but the stuff I do know um, we will hit. So first, we're gonna go through bonds. What I want to do is kind of like run through a makeshift bond process so people kind of get an idea of, I know he explained it, I want to explain it in person too, just so you guys get an idea of kind of how the process flows. So you have a better understanding of why we're looking for what we look for and why these variables are the way they are. So in a bond process, I am a company and I need some money. I don't want to give up equity in my company, but I need people to give me some money. So what I decide to do is sell bonds. Just imagine a piece of paper. And what I would do is, Beth, I would say, I've got this piece of paper. I need $1,000. If you give me $1,000, I'll give you 10% a year of that $1,000 for 5 years, and then I'll give you your $1,000 back. It's like a bank when they borrow your money, they smack interest on it. It's the same thing with a bond. So she would give me $1,000. I'd give her her bond, and I would pay her that 10%. So I'd pay her $100 a year for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, she'd turn it in, and I'd give her her $1,000 back. There's a lot of features to bonds. So, for example, what is it? The call. What's the word for it? I'll find
The
it later.
callable where you can call early.
Yeah, there's callable, and there's like call.
All premium?
It starts with a D. It's like
I know
delay.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of the word, but it's like a call delay where I tell you, I cannot call this bond and buy it back from you early. Um, the benefit of that is you're guaranteed to get all of the money that I promised you with the coupon rate. The coupon rate is, like the interest rate, what I tell you I'm going to pay you to borrow your money. There's security. I could put an asset on it. So if I default, it's the same thing like with a house. If I default, we sell that asset to pay the bonds back. I can create a sinking fund that I put money in, where if I default again, that fund pays back the bond holders. Some bonds don't have a coupon, so they don't pay for it. There's a bunch of features that go with bonds. Are there any questions on that so far? Let me see here. A deferred call, that's it. So a deferred call is where I say I cannot call this bond back, where before I could say, if I don't have a deferred call, I could say, well, as he uses, I'll give you $1,000 and $30 whenever I buy it back. However, like if I'm giving you that 10%, that $100 is worth way more than that 30. So you want to get that full 5 years out of it. So you get all of your money from me borrowing, where if I am able to pay that bond back in a year, I'm going to, because I saved $400. So a deferred call will definitely lower the amount you have to pay. And then interest rates. If I have a bond where I tell you I will give you 10% a year, but the other interest rates out there are hitting like 6 to 7, that 10% is nice because you're going to get more back for your money than what you would if you go after a different investment. But if the other interest rates are around 15%, my 10 is lower than where you could go make your money elsewhere. And that's why I have to sell my bond for less so you make more money, right? We will get into the questions now, the math questions, if there are no other questions on that. The whiteboard. So what we're going to start with the math. And not touch on the concepts. We'll go into the math first. So we will start with 18. The 7% bonds issued by Modern Kitchens pay interest semi-annually, mature in 8 years, and have a $1,000 face value. Currently, the bond sells for $987. What is the yield to maturity? So this is just like time value of money. We want to get our variables, and then we want to figure out, we'll put it in the calculator to figure out the yield to maturity, which is also interest rate. So first, we'll start with our number of periods. We know that this bond matures in 8 years. So our periods is 8. We know the face value or the future value, because this is how much money I'm going to give you back that I borrowed from you, $1,000. The payment is the coupon rate times the face value. So for this, since it's a 7% bond of 1,000, your annual payment will be $70. And then we know the bond sells for 987. So our present value equals negative 987. This is a negative because we're giving that money out for the bond. That's leaving our bank account. The $70 is going to come in when we get paid, and then we're going to get that $1,000 back when we go turn in the bond. Now it's asking what the yield to maturity is. So first, when we put this in, we have to understand that it's semi-annually, and all of these are annual numbers. So we have to change them. So what we'll do is 8, we'll multiply it by 2, 16. And this 70, since we get that a year, we're going to divide it by 2 for 2 payments, and that's 35. So then, if y'all got these variables, what we're going to do is we're going to take our calculator. Go ahead and get this all set up. And we're going to just put that stuff in. And again, if you remember in my previous Zoom, this stuff, you can treat just your basic work through as a parenthesis. So for example, for N, we have to turn it semi-annually. So we're going to do 8 times 2 equals 16. And then we're going to hit N. So we got that variable entered. Next, we will do present value. So we'll type 987, hit the negative button because it's a negative, and then press PV because that's our present value. Next, we'll do our payment, which we get $70 a year, but we get it semi-annually. So we're going to divide by 2. That's going to give us 35. We're going to put that in our payment. And we know our future value is $1,000. So we're going to type in 1,000 and we're going to hit future value to put that variable in. Next, we are going to compute. We're looking for our yield to maturity, which is our interest rate. So we're going to compute our interest rate, and it gives us 3.6084. This is our semi-annual interest rate. So what we'll do is we'll multiply that by 2, and our annual interest rate is 7.2167 or 7.22. Is everybody tracking that? Did everybody get the same answer as well? Next, we will go on to, so what is the price per bond? We'll do 19.2 just because we're looking for present value. So we'll clear this off. So we'll do 19. They've got a 5.65% coupon bond with semi-annual payments and a yield to maturity of 6.94. So our yield to maturity is our interest rate. 6.94. The bond matures in 7 years, so we've got 7 periods. Well, what is the market price per bond if the face value is $1,000? So we know the face value is $1,000, and this helps us get our payment at 5.65% of 1,000. We get paid $56.50 a year. We are trying to find the present value of this one. So we have these variables. Again, it's semi-annual. So what we got to do is we got to convert these again. So we got to multiply this one by 2, divide our payment by 2, and our interest rate as well, because our interest rate always has to match whatever our payment and our number of periods are, like unit wise. So if it's year, all 3 of those have to match. If it's monthly, all 3 of those have to match. The same thing here, it's semi-annual. So we've got to divide this by 2 as well. So this we will put into our calculator. I'm gonna set this down. And we'll clear second face value just to clear our time value of money. So we know we've got an interest rate of 6.94, sorry, hold on, let me clear. 6.94. We got to divide that by 2. So we get our semi-annual interest rate. And we're going to put that, once we divide it by 2 and hit enter, we're going to put that into our interest rate. Next, we know the bond matures in 7 years. So we're going to do 7 times 2 equals, and we're going to hit N. So we get our number of periods. We know our face value is $1,000. So we're going to type in 1,000 and put that in our face value. And then we've got the coupon rate, which is 5.65% of 1,000. That's 56.5. But again, we have to turn that payment into semi-annual. So we're going to divide that by 2. And then we're going to put that into our payment. And then we are going to compute for the present value, which is, it comes out as a negative because again, that money would leave our bank account to buy the bond, which is $929.42. That is B. Are there any questions on that? Hearing none, we will move on to the next one. If you guys want to skip any of these, just let me know. I'm running through because we're trying to find different variables. And let's see, what's this next? This next one, they're actually going to switch it up on us and we're going to do annually instead of semi-annually. So for 20, but anyways, if you guys want to skip any, just let me know. Redesign Computers has 6.5% coupon bonds outstanding with a current market price of $548. The yield to maturity is 13.2% and the face value is $1,000. Interest is paid annually. How many years until these bonds mature? So again, it's the exact same thing. We know face value is 1,000. We know our payment is 6.5%, which of 1,000 is $65. Our present value is 548. Again, that's negative 548. And our interest rate is 13.2%. 0.2. And then we would just solve for n. And again, this is annual, so we don't have to change anything. We would just put it in. So we've got second clear time value. So we've got a $65 payment, a $548 sell price, which is our present value, 1,000. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me clear. Sorry. We've got a $65 payment, a $1,000 base value. We've got 13.2%, 13.2 interest rate. And then we've got I don't know if I put a $65 payment in. I can't remember. I'm going to do it again anyways. And I think I got it all. So we'll compute for n. Base value 548. Again, we have to put it in as a negative for a present value, or else we'll get an error. Our interest rate is 13.2. Compute in, and we get 17.8399 or 17.84 years. Are there any questions on that one? Hearing none, we'll go to 21. Let me erase this. World Travel has 7% semi-annual coupon bonds outstanding with a current market price of $1,023.46, a par value of $1,000, and a yield to maturity of 6.72%. How many years is it until these bonds mature? So again, we'll grab our variables. We were asked how many years until these bonds mature, so we don't know the number of periods. We know this is a $1,000 face value. We know that this is currently selling for $1,023.46. Again, a negative. Our payment is 7% of 1,000. That's, oh, I put these in the wrong spot. Hold on, sorry. Our payment is $70 a year. Our present value is the negative 1,026, 23. $1,023.46. And our interest rate is 6.72.
So Greg, I have a question.
Yes.
I got stuck on this one because it said World Travel has 7% semi-annual coupon bonds. So is that 7% the semi-annual rate and you have to double it, or is it? That's where I got confused in reading the question.
No, that 7% is for the year. Like they pay you 7% a year. We have to turn it into
3.5%. Okay.
Right. So like here we got that 70, like you're talking about, that 3.5. What we'll do is when we divide this by 2, it'll equal 35, which that's where the 3.5 comes in. So just like this interest rate, because it's semi-annual, we're going to have to divide this by 2. And that should be everything. So we'll go ahead. We've got our variables now. and we'll type it in. So we know it's 70. It's 70 divided by 2 gives us $35. That's our payment, right? Our future value is $1,000. Our interest rate or yield to maturity is 6.72. 6.72. We got to divide that by 2 because we're compounding semi-annually, which gives us 3.36. That's our interest rate. And then it's currently selling for $1,023.46. We have to make that a negative, and that's our present value. And then we are going to compute per N, which gives us $25.052. Now remember, we turned our interest rate and our payments into semi-annual. So this is a semi-annual. These are semi-annual periods. So to get it back to years, we have to divide this number by 2. When we do that, we get 12.526 or 12.53. Does that make sense to everybody?
I am still confused where we get the 70 payment from.
It is, so they give you a coupon rate. That coupon rate is what they're paying you as like a dividend. So that's 7%. We multiply by the face value. So it would be 1,000. That's the face value times 0.07 for 7%, and we get 70. That's how much they're going to pay us annually. So it'll always be the coupon rate or the coupon percentage times the face value. And then when we turn it into semi-annual, we divide it by 2. Are there any other questions? Does that make sense? Hearing nothing, we shall say it makes sense. And move on.
It does.
Okay, cool. Next, we are going to 22. It's a 13-year, 6% coupon bond, pays interest semi-annually. The bond has a face value of $1,000. What is the percentage change in the price of this bond if the market yield to maturity rises to 5.7% from the current rate of 5.5%? So this is a very math-loaded question. Don't let it freak you out. They put a lot of stuff in here, but it's really easy. We just do exactly what we've done before. So a 6% bond or 6% coupon rate of 1,000 means our payment is $60 a year. Our number of periods it's a 13-year, 13. And then our yield to maturity will range, which is our interest rate, from 5.5 to 5.7. All right. So we're going to start with the 5.5 first. And again, this is semi-annual, so we have to get our purchase price. So I'm going to set this down. Semi-annual, we're going to multiply this by 2, divide this by 2, and divide this by 2. Let me take a look here real quick. Yeah, let's convert it to semi-annual. Put my marker back on. So we're gonna start with the 5.5 clear time value. So we know we have 13 times 2 is 26. That's our number of periods. We've got 6% of 1,000, which is 60, divided by 2 equals 30. That's our payment. We've got a $1,000 face value. And we've got a 5.5% interest rate or yield to maturity. So that's our interest rate. So we will compute the present value, which gives us 658, and we'll say 44 cents. That's not right. Oh, we got to multiply by 2 times 2 equals. That's not right either.
If the yield to maturity is 5.5, do we have to divide that by 2 because of semi-annual?
Yes, I forgot that part. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we'll go back and we'll do it again. I appreciate that. That's why my number came out wrong. It's that simple to mess up. So 13 times 2 is 26. That's our number of periods. 60, which is our yearly payment, divided by 2 is 30. That's our semi-annual payment. 5.5 divided by 2 equals 2.75. That's our interest rate. And we've got $1,000 face value. So when we compute present value, we get $1,046.01. Right? So we'll put that on our board. It's 1,046. So at 5.5, put this here. 1046.01. And now we've got to do the 5.7 equals. So what I like to do, now remember, if you don't clear the time value of money, all of your variables are still there. The only thing we need to change is the interest rate. So what we'll do is we'll type 5.7 divided by 2 equals, we get our interest rate, which is 2.85. We just hit interest rate. We've changed the variable we need to, so we'll compute present value again, and we'll get $1,027.28. You don't have to go through and do the whole thing over again and clear time value money. You can if you want to, if it makes you feel better. But all you have to do is change the interest rate. And, you know, dividing your interest rate and then hitting the key changes it. So that gives us 1027.28. Now we need to know the difference between these two, right? Because we are trying to find what is the percentage change in the price. So therefore we have to know the change in the price. We'll do 1046.01 minus 1027.28 equals 18.73. Well, it should actually be a negative, shouldn't it? Hold on. Oh, wait, no, because it's over 1046.01 minus 1027.28 equals 18. When we subtract these two, we get 18.73. That's our difference between these two numbers. Now we have to get a change in the price. Therefore, we are going to take this 18.73 and divide it by technically, these numbers are negative because that money left. So 18.73 and divide it by our base year, which is 5.5, that negative number. So we're going to do 18.73 divided by 1046.01 negative, and we're going to turn this into a negative. And when we hit enter, we get, so we do 18.73 over negative, because again, when we get our present value, it comes out as a negative 1046.01 equals negative 0.0179. Squeeze that one in there. And when we change this into a percentage, we'll get negative 1.79. Does that make sense to everybody?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So if they're giving you the 5.5%, the amount, okay, never mind. I see what I see, because that's the money leaving us. So we put up less money and get a higher interest rate.
Right, because we are earning. So if they have a 6%, the reason our price goes down is because the rest of the market is approaching that 6%. So 5.5%. If the rest of the market is earning 5.5% on their money and this bond comes out for 6%, we're willing to pay more because we're going to get that 6% back. It's more than the 5.5% the rest of the market's getting. But when that interest rate goes up to 5.7, the market is starting to close in. Our price is going to go down because we are earning less compared to when the market was at 5.5, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense.
Cool. This was probably my favorite question out of all of them. So I'm really excited to go over this one with you guys. Do-well bonds have a face value of $1,000 and are currently quoted at $867.25. The bonds have a coupon rate of 6.5%. What is the current yield on these bonds? So, current yield, to answer this question, we have to do our current yield divided by our current price. So 65, it's an ugly 5, I'm sorry, I can't look at that one. Erase that, we'll try again. Turn this to 5, still ugly, but better. Divided by 867.25, which is our price, our asking price. So when we do that, 65 divided by 867.25 equals 0.0749 or 7, oh gosh, I'm sorry. 7.49%. That is our current yield on the bond. So if you guys don't have this written on your paper, you are going to want it. Annual. Oh, hold on. Let me, does anybody need this equation anymore? Pretty simple. The question itself seems a lot more difficult than it is. It's not. So our current yield, I'm just going to put CY equals our annual interest earned over our current price. So this is annual interest earned. I just wrote it small because I'd take up the rest of the board. So it's our annual interest earned divided by our current price. That gives us our current yield. And that's all that question is. Any questions on that?
Not that you've made it easy.
Yeah. It,
I know,
like
that's the one
looking
that I
at
got
it,
stuck on, ironically,
it's
because I couldn't
so
find the, I
simple.
couldn't find the formula.
He doesn't, I did not see it anywhere in his PowerPoint. I didn't see it anywhere,
Awesome. Awesome.
which is why this was one of my favorite questions, because it seems so difficult, but it's not. It just makes it difficult. So I'll tell you one thing about accountants, and apparently about finance people too, is if it was as simple as it actually is, then people couldn't pay us as much money as we wanted. So we throw a whole bunch of different terms at it and don't give you all the information, then you have to pay us a lot more money because it seems more difficult than it is. Like interest rate has like three or four or five different terms for it, and they're used interchangeably. So we could be having a conversation and I could say interest rate 4 times with a separate word and easily lose people. It helps keep the salaries high. Next, moving on to 24, a treasury bond is quoted as 99.6325 asked and 99.1250 bid. What is the bid ask spread in dollars on a $10,000 face value bond? So first we got to find the bid ask spread. This was another one I didn't see. So I will put this up first. Spread equals ask minus bid. Right? So our ask price is 99.6325. And these are obviously in percentages. If you ever saw an asking price of $99 for a $10,000 bond, just know you're probably not going to get paid. It's not worth your time. It's like, trying to buy a car that, people say is worth $10,000, but they're asking 99 bucks for. You're not going to get very far. So that's our ask. We're going to subtract our bid percentage, which is 99.1250. And again, as I just mentioned, these are percentages. So we have to turn them into percentages. So it would be 0.99632 minus 0.991250. Since we're dealing with percentages, we have to ensure we get a percentage number back. So when we do that, we get 0.996325 minus 0.991250 equals, and this equals 0.0051. Now, again, this is our spread, right? And it's in a percentage. It's it's half of a percent of whatever our number is. But he's asking for the bid ask spread in dollars. We know the face value of the bond is $10,000. So we're going to multiply this number by the face value, which is 10,000. 10, 1, 2, 3. And when we do that, we get our dollars, which is 50.75. And while y'all are finishing that up, I will go ahead and disclaim, because I know an accountant, if they see my video, they're gonna start crying that accounting is difficult. Yes, once you get to the high levels of doing like mergers and acquisitions, accounting is extremely hard. It's a real profession. Don't cry. I'm joking. Sort of.
So I'm confused because I got 51, not 50.75.
You just round it up. Do you have your calculator set to decimal points?
Yeah, I do to 4, but maybe I needed to 5.
No, I put mine to 4. Here, let's do it again. So you got the 0.0051, right?
Right.
And you multiplied that by 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Did it give you your decimal points whenever that answer came out?
Yeah, 4 zeros.
Oh, you know what it is? You typed in 0.0051. So I know what it is. So on our calculators, we are showing 4 decimal points, right? 0.0051. There are numbers back here that we don't see. So when you do 0.996325 minus 0.991250 equals, we only have 4 decimal points
Yep.
showing us, but
There's
there are
more behind
numbers
it.
hidden. So when you get
Yep.
here, if you times it by 10,000, that's where you get to 50.75.
Yep, that's what I did. That's a good pointer for anyone who's going to be listening in later.
Yeah. It's better just to do it all. Again, use your parentheses, let it play out, and then multiply the number you get by what you need to.
I was
It's
just
the same-
excited that this was the first answer that actually got the same answer you guys got.
There we go. It's all about progress. It's not as bad as it seems. I promise.
It's bad. It's bad.
It can be. It can be very bad. Clean
Well, thank you guys
price.
for helping me with that.
Yeah, no problem. It's what we're here for. You know, it takes a whole team to sail a ship somewhere. We're either going to get there or we're going to wind up on the bottom of the ocean, but we're going to do it together. That's what matters. Are there any more questions on that? Hearing none. We are going to do 25, which is very exciting for clean and dirty price. It's not that exciting, but it's exciting. So you purchase a bond with an invoice price of $1,119. The bond has a coupon rate of 6.25%, a face value of $1,000, and there are 4 months to the next semi-annual coupon date. What is the clean price of this bond? All right, so we know our dirty price is 1,119, right? Now, clean versus dirty is the accrual of interest over that time period. Because you're buying the bond, you're going to eat the interest. We know there are 4 months left of a semi-annual coupon date. That means that semi-annual, there are 6 months in each period. Since there are 4 left, 2 have already passed. So we're going to have to eat that 2%, or that 2, that we're going to have to eat those 2 months. So we have to turn that into a decimal. So we divide it by 6, which is our time period. We get 0.333. Right? Next, we have to multiply that by our semi-annual coupon payment. We know that this is a 6.25% bond, which means we get paid $62.5 a year. Now, since we're only eating 2 out of 6 months out of the semi-annual, we have to turn this into semi-annual 2 and divide it by 2. When we do that, 62.5 divided by 2 equals 31.25. 31.25. Now we have to know this is the semi-annual coupon rate that we're getting paid at. We have to figure out what this percentage is of it. So we're going to multiply this by 0.3333 if you want to. We do 4 decimal points, so we'll tack another 3 onto it because we're doing 4. So we do 31.25 times 0.3333 equals 10.4156 or 10.42. 42. This is the amount of the dirty price that we're having to pay at interest. So we want to find the clean price. We'll just simply subtract this number from our 1,119. So 1119 minus 10.42 equals 1119 minus equals 1108.58, which is A. Are there any questions on that?
And we can have the same half sheet, correct? For this exam also.
Yes. Did y'all write down the equation for the bid-ask spread? Did you guys write that down? That may be one to track as well. If he puts that on the equation, I didn't see that one in his PowerPoints. So if you didn't write it down, I'll write it down again. And just make sure it hits your paper in case he throws this on there. We're going to want to know that the spread equals ask minus bid. Make sure that one hits the formula card in case he puts a question on his thing. And then just make sure you know if it's in decimal points or not. I'm not sure if he'll give you cash ones, but the ones he gave is in a percentage. So just be cognizant if he does try and give you like cash ask and bid. So 26, you are purchasing a 15-year zero coupon bond. The yield to maturity is 6.85%. The face value is $1,000. What is the current market price, assuming semi-annual compounding? So this will be just like the ones we did before. We'll take our variables, turn them into semi-annual, and type them in. One thing to remember about this is he says a zero coupon bond. That means we don't get paid anything while we're holding the money. So our payment for that will be 0 because there's nothing there. Any questions on that one? Do I need to go through it? Is everybody good? See here. We're going to move into the great stocks now. Let's see, where's my notepad? Some of these equations, there's a few sets here that I want to go through. The two that I am comfortable with is that P0 equals D1 divided by R minus G. So what this is saying is our price, our current price, because 0, this is a time, T, equals our dividend of 1 year over our rate minus our growth. The other way he has this is P0, again, this 0 and this is time, equals D0 parentheses 1 plus our growth. This, I'm gonna leave this blank for now, over our rate minus our growth, right? Up here, there's another T if there's multiple years, right? So if we have, let's say, let's do that's not one. I'm going to go through 15 just because I'm looking at it. And I think it kind of helps solidify this part. So our dividend, let's see here. Our dividend is also going to be expressed this way. D, another sense of time, equals, or D, another sense of time, parentheses, 1 plus our growth, parentheses, time, right? Can y'all see that? So for this, looking at 15, they give us a dividend that was just paid. And they give us a rate of growth and they want us to tell them what the dividend will be 9 years from now. So these are going to be the equations we work. I'm going to erase these just so I can do this problem real quick. It's very simple. It's just this equation. So we're going to do our dividend, which this would be D0 because it's current. So instead of T, it'll be D0. That is 1.84 parentheses 1 plus our growth, which our growth is 1.35%, so 0.0135. And this T would be 9, right? Because that's 9 years that growth is going to occur. So we can do this very simply on our calculator. So what we're going to do is we're going to first attack the parentheses, right? So we're going to do 1 plus 0.0135 equals, and that gives us our 1.0135. Now you see this YX button here. we're gonna hit that. That's gonna give us our exponents. So we hit that. Then we type 9 because that's our year, that's our exponent, and we hit enter. And that gives us our 1.1283. So when we're looking at this, whenever we do that, so we add these, we get 1.0135, and then we hit this exponent of 9, which is really multiplying it by itself that number of times. We get 1.1283. This is in our parentheses still. We've got our 1.84. Now we multiply this dividend by this. This is our rate of growth over that specified period of time. So we take that 1.1283 and we multiply it times 1.84 equals 2. And when we do that, when we multiply this, we get 2.0760. When we round up, it'll be 2.08. That's our dividend. Dividend at 9. That makes sense?
I have one question. So a lot of times he's focusing on saying the company just paid. And then there's another one in here that says, future payment. Why is he saying those particular words?
So what he's saying, so by saying just paid, he is giving you like a different variable. D0 means like this year, this just happened. So D0 for our last problem was the 1.84. That is just paid. But if he's like, they're gonna start paying a dividend in 4 years, it's gonna be D4 because it's not current, it's 4 years from now. But it also has
Okay.
to do with like when it starts, because it could not start. Actually, they could not set a growth rate to it for a couple years. So if I say, all right, we're gonna pay 1.84, and then 2 years from now, then we are going to start growing. After we pay that dividend 2 years from now, it's going to then grow at a constant rate. That changes our whole equation. So after the year after our 2 means D3. All right. So if he asks the same question, but he says our growth is going to take over after we pay our dividend the second year, it's going to be D3, which is going to change our time over here, where before our time here equals 9, instead it would equal 6, I think, because there's less time. So if he asks you, they're going to pay a dividend on year 2. If they pay it on year 2 and then they're going to start growing, this is going to be 7 because the growth rate's still going to hit it. And this will give you a different answer here. Ignore that 3. You'll get a different answer here than instead of that 2.08 that we had when we had a 9.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
when they pay that dividend is crucial to the question.
That's what I thought. I just didn't understand why.
Yeah, just like he'll give you growth rate. He'll tell you the growth rate isn't going to start until 2 years from now. That completely changes it too, because we don't want to, if he asks us 5 years from now, but the growth rate isn't going to start until the next 2 years, we don't want to use a 5 exponent. We want to use a 3 because it's
3,
not going to
right.
grow all of those 5
Because it
years.
won't grow the first 2 years, but it'll grow the last 3 years or whatever. Okay.
Right. So we'll
And so
get
then
various-
instead of using the formulas that we've been using, then we would use the non-constant growth rate formulas if he, no? Okay.
It's the same one. We just change this T that's in the top corner. It'll just change.
Mhm.
So instead of this T being 5, well, the first 2 years it's not going to grow. This T will just be 3.
Okay, got it.
And
Thank you.
then it'll change our numbers down here. So then this will be D5. Even though it has 3 years of growth, that it'll be D5 because it's paid in the 5th year.
Because
But
it's
that's,
total of 5. the fifth
yeah,
year,
but that's irrelevant. It's the growth. It's the factors that we need.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So that is very important of when the dividend was paid, of when we are going to start our growth. So we will do 16. Sorry, my headphones got caught. We will do 16 Three Corners Markets paid an annual dividend of 1.42 a share last month. Today, the company announced the future dividends will be increasing by 1.3% annually. If you require a return of 14.6%, how much are you willing to pay to purchase one share of this stock today? So this is one where all of those variables are very important. First, we are going to do one of the P's. So that P I had, so it's P, a number, I'm just going to put a 0, equals our dividend. I'm going to say 0 again, 1 plus growth. There's a time up here. But for this, no, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. And then we got our rate minus our growth on the bottom. Rate minus growth. That's what this one is. So we know we got a dividend of 1.42 a share. So that's our D0, 1.42 parentheses 1 plus our growth rate, which is 1.3, or in this case, 0.013 parentheses. We require a rate of return of 14.6 or 0.146, because it's a percentage, minus, again, the growth, 0.013. I did not put anything up here because it's asking for how much are you willing to pay today. We don't need to know any years of growth because we're going to pay for it. Like, how much is it worth right now? If I put a 1 up here, it would be, how much am I willing to pay 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? So how much are we willing to pay today? So let's break this down. I wrote that really big. I'm going to regret that. So first, we've got, I'm going to go over here first. No, I'm going to erase it. I'm going to erase this. So we got that equation, right? We know what we're doing now. We're all going to get A's because bonds, well, these are stocks now. I'm going to be quiet since I butchered that one. 1 plus 0.013 parentheses divided by our rate 0.146 minus our growth 0.013. Now we're just going to simply simplify this equation. So we're going to subtract, we're going to do our bottom, just 0.146 minus 0.013. That gives us 0.133, right? This top, once we simplify it, it'll just be 1.42 parentheses, add these, 1.013. Next, we're going to multiply these two. So we've got 1.42 times 1 0.013. That gives us 1.4385 over 0.133. Now we just simply finish that by dividing this by 0.133, and that equals 10.82. It's actually 8155, but we're just going to round it up because he's asking what our price is, what we would be willing to pay today, $10.82. Are there any questions on that one? Now, I have to admit, I struggled with 17. I think I was using the wrong equation. So we are going to try this one live first and make sure that I corrected my errors. And if not, we'll just work this one together. And if somebody knows it, they can teach me. But we're trying to find our, what is your dividend growth rate? That's not it. We may, let me swing this one. I'm going to try it this way. I don't know. I got to look at how he did it because I don't know. But our rate, so this is one of the finding your rate of return equals our dividend over our price plus our growth. We're going to try it this way because algebra, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't. Price per share. Okay. So we know our rate of return is 15.8 equals, we know our dividend is 1.61 and our price is 36.84. I don't think this is going to go well at all, but we're going to try it. And it's going to be plus G. I'm not working this one as if I know it. We're just kind of figuring it out together. So we do 1.61 divided by 36.84 equals, that's not going to even be close, 0.0437 plus G equals our rate of return. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Wait. This is a percentage, so we're going to make it a percentage, 0.158. Now we're trying to solve for our growth, which is G. We're adding these, so we have to subtract both sides by 0.0437, subtract 0.0437. Then we get G equals, if we do that, it'll be 0.158 minus 0.0437 equals 0.1143, which would be 11.43. Oh, that's an option. This is actually an option. So we turn this equals 11.43%. Let me go see. We go to the answer key, hold on. E. That is not it. Nope, 10.95. Yeah, that one I don't know. So we're gonna 10.8.
Sounds like we should just put the question into the question and answer and see how he solves it.
Yeah, 0.158 minus point.
Because I didn't understand and get that one either.
Yeah, 0.4. I don't know what equation he is using to get this answer. He has it
says
in his
constant
answers.
growth stock, but I don't see how you could use that.
Let me, I did not,
Formula.
so you can't. So how it should go is there should be an equation somewhere that is G equals, and then the rest of it that we use to figure it out. If that's in
Mhm.
his PowerPoint, I have not seen it.
I didn't either, because I wrote down all of the equations over the last 2 days.
And all of the other ones he has, I can't solve for G and get what we're looking for. So that is not good. Because, so let's actually move on.
Would
The
it be? No, it wouldn't. I was thinking that it, no. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Dividend growth. I'm gonna go back through his PowerPoints and try and see if I can find this constant growth equation that's gonna help us figure this one out. But I don't know 17. We'll figure it out later. We're going to move on to 18. So we'll do 18 and 19. And if we have time, 20. So again, this is going to. So D's made 2 announcements concerning its common stock today. First, the company announced that the next annual dividend will be $1.58 a share. Secondly, all dividends after that will decrease by 1.15% annually. What is the value of this stock at a discount rate of 15.5%? So we go to the P equals D over our rate of growth minus G. So we know our dividend is 1.58 over our rate of growth, our interest rate is 15.155 minus, it's going to decline in value of 1, so 0.0115 parentheses. So we're going to solve this one down here. And we're going to type it just like that into our calculator, 0.155 minus 0.0115, turn it into a negative because it's decreasing. And that gives us, that equals 0.1665 over, or sorry, under 1.58. And when we do that, we do 1.58 divided by 0.1665, we get 9.4895, or when you round up, 9.49. Does that make sense to everybody? There's a growth rate, but we're not moving years, so we don't need any time involved. And because of that, since we're given our dividend and there is no time, no growth rate, we don't need this extra stuff that would normally be here. That is growth of the dividend. So it's null because we're trying to figure out what we're willing to pay, or what the value of the stock is right now.
I'm sorry, can you show me how you got the bottom?
Yeah. So this, the 0.155 is 15.5. That, our discount rate, our interest rate, that's our 15.5. That's our rate, which is R. And the equation is rate minus growth. Our growth is decreasing, so it's a negative of 1.15%. We turned both of these into decimals. This is 0.155 minus a negative 0.0115. When we do that minus a negative, in algebra, you have the keep, change. So what you'll actually do is you'll keep this and then you'll change this and then change this, let the calculator do it. And it will actually wind up adding that 0.0155. That's how we get the 0.1665.
Thank you.
Does that make sense? I know I just threw another algebra.
Math just doesn't make sense to me, but I struggle through it.
So what I do now, remember, we're decreasing in growth. Otherwise, if our growth is positive, it's not a negative, right? If growth is going up, it obviously won't be a negative. But since we're decreasing, it is a negative. And this equation is always minus growth. So it's minus a negative. So when you see something like this, decreasing growth, in this equation, we're always subtracting it. So what we're going to do, I'll show you on the calculator. Let the calculator do it. So we're going to clear it. So we're going to have 0.155. That is that's our rate, our discount rate. And we are going to subtract that by 0.0115. And again, it's a negative. So we hit this plus minus button and turn that into a negative and then hit enter. And
I was putting it in the calculator wrong.
yeah, let the calculator, no problem. Does that help out?
Yes, it does. And all that makes sense. Thank you so much.
No problem. Are there any other questions on that? Hearing none, we'll move on to 20. So the equation we're going to use for this one, we're still trying to find how much are you willing to pay. We know we have a dividend. It's got a growth rate to it of a certain amount of years. So it's going to be our dividend, 1 plus our growth rate and the amount of time we have. Then we got rate minus growth down here, and this will give us our price, which is a time. So the Uptowner just paid an annual dividend of 4.12. The company has a policy of increasing the dividend by 2.5% annually. You would like to purchase shares of stock in this firm, but realize that you will not have the funds to do so for another 4 years. If you require a rate of return of 16.7%, how much will you be willing to pay per share when you can afford to make this investment? So we know this is D0. Our D0 is what they just paid, 4.12. 1 plus our growth, which is 0.025, 0.025, over, there's a T here, we'll get to that. We require a 16.7 rate of return. How much are you willing to pay? So we've got that minus our growth, which is 0.025. Let me turn this into a decimal. Now here is where we get nice and confused, right? So we won't have money until 4 years from now to buy this thing. This is going to compound every year, which is including this year, the one they just paid it. So because of that, for the next 4 years plus this year, we're going to get a 5 because we can't make it simple and just do 4. That would be too easy, I think. Yeah. So we have to grow this year, and then we also have to grow the next 4. That's where we get 5 from. Because this right here is D0. They just paid it. It still is going to hit a constant growth rate. Right? So when we slim this down, it's going to be 1.025. And again, we're going to raise it. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to subtract these just to make it 10.167 minus 0.025 equals 0.142. 0.142. Now we got to get the top. And again, I'll show you how to do that on the calculator. So we have that 1. So we do 1 plus our 0.025. That gives us 1.025. We hit this YX button. And then we put in our exponent, which is 5. And we hit enter. That gives us 1.1314. So we would have 4.12 parentheses 1.1314 equals. What we would do is and I'll show you the way I like to do this too. I do the bottom first, and then I do the top. For when I have this number here, we just multiply it because you can do that anyway. So when you have that up, I'm going to go back and do it again. So I've got 1.025, hit the YX 5 equals, we get the 1.1, then we hit times 4.12.
Interesting.
Equals 4.6614. So that'll be our top. 4.6614 over our 0.142. Now, again, we have this up on our calculator. All we have to do is hit divide and then type in 0.142 equals 32.8268. If we round that up, it'll be 32.83, which is our answer. 32.83. That's the amount we would be willing to pay for this investment 4 years from now.
Greg.
Yeah.
How did you know to put a 5 there again?
Because they paid this dividend this year, we have to account for the growth of this year. And then we have to account for the growth of the next 4 years as well.
Okay, thank you.
So if they say they paid a current dividend, all right, over the next 4 years, this is going to be its growth rate. Like the next 4 years, then we'll change this to 4. Like, so they paid this dividend. The year after, they're going to start the growth rate for the next 4 years. That'll then change it to a 4. But since they paid it this year, we have to compound it as well. Or we have to
Okay.
account for its growth too.
Okay, thank you.
That's the area that's going to be the hardest to figure
Yeah.
out. Like,
Which is why I'm confused. So that's kind of where my ability ends. Because looking at the next one, they have a share per dividend in year 7, and then it increases every year after that. And then it asks, what is the current share price? I was not even getting close. And when I looked at it, he used an exponent of 6. So I don't know, like if it's in year 7, well, I think we just solved it.
he's starting in,
He's starting,
he's using 7 as D0.
right, so is that he's asking for the price, so P0 equals year 1. P1 equals year 2, because it's next year, and so on and so forth. P2 equals 3. P3 equals 4, and so on. Thank you guys for helping me realize that, because there is a 0 here, which would be current. So when he says over the next 7 years, we have to account for that. 5 equals 6 equals 7. So P4, P,
That's a really good way to figure out.
P6.
That's a really good way to figure out the years, is remember there's that 0.
Yes, and the 0 accounts for the current
Year
year, but all
one.
of our growth still applies. Who asked that question? Was that you, Beth?
Mm-mm.
Who asked that? You the goat. Y'all gotta ask questions, because we're either gonna sink together or we're gonna swim together. That was a good question. I appreciate that. Figured this out together. That's what I'm talking about. Teamwork. Well, now that we got that set up, might as well attempt the next one real quick. Do we have time? Ooh, I'm over time. We'll do it anyways. But for real though, whoever asked that question, thank you. I'm serious. Yeah, you're helping me learn too. So it's a young startup company that is currently retailing all of its earning or retaining all of its earnings. The company wants to pay a $2 per share dividend in year 7 and increase that dividend by 2.2% per year thereafter. What is the current share price if the required rate of return is 16? So we know P6 is year 7. It's the same thing with our dividend. That dividend would be D6 because that is year 7. So $2. And it's going to increase every year thereafter. So what is the current share price if the required return is 16%? So we know our growth equals 2.2 and our required rate of return is 16%. So we have to figure out our price. Where's this equation sheet? So if there's no growth, so our equation before, hold on now, just follow me for 1 second here. So our price before we were doing our dividend plus our growth, 1 plus whatever over a time minus our rate of return. Wait, do we still, I think we, no, hold on. It is that one. You're right. It's D. It's the one we had before minus our growth. So our dividend would be 2 over our rate, which is 16 minus 0.1, what's 0.16 for 16% minus 0.22 equals. So we just get the bottom. Clear this 0.16 minus 0.22 equals wait. Since it's 2.2%, it's going to be 0.022. That's a crucial big change. So 0.16 minus 0.022. Sorry. We're learning together, which would be 0.1382 equals. So we do 2 divided by 0.138 equals 14.4928. We'll just do 14.49. Why is that? What? We have to figure out now our current price, because this price is for our dividend year 6. So that means this is P6. So we have to work this back. And we do that by reducing by our growth. And at this point, I'm following what he's doing because I've got to figure out what's going on. We got to bring it back to P0. So he has our price. He does price 0.49 divided by our growth or our rate over the years. So 1.16 raised to 6 because we have to reduce our amount. Sorry, hold on, I'm trying to put the lid on this marker. There we go. So we do 1.16, the YX button, 6 equals 2.4364, 2.4364 over 14.49 equals 14.49 divided by 2.4364 equals 5.9473. We rounded up to 5.95, which is A. So I have to find the equation. So we know our equation pretty well to find our current price or the price for whatever year we have to find. This is be a 6 for our thing. What we have to find now is how to reduce our price by our required rate of return over the years, which I mean, we see what it is here, which would just be our price over 1 plus our required rate, and then if needed, any time. I'm pretty sure if we're reducing our price, we're always going to have a time here. So that would be the equation that we would use. I don't know if he has that anywhere in his PowerPoint. I have to go look to see, but that's what he did. And we just take it and convert it into our own equation.
So wait, what did he do again? He took the price
Yeah,
the
so
dividend
first,
over,
so they're going to, they're gonna start paying their dividend in year 7. And we realized, as we see over here, year 7 is price 6 or D6.
right?
So we take this equation because we're trying to find our price in that year. Our dividend we know will be $2. And then we have our rate minus our growth, which is just how we get our current price here. Here are the factors.
Mhm.
We plug it in, we get our price. Now he wants to know what we would pay for it today. So we have to take this price and work it back to figure out what it would be today. So we have to take away our growth, which is how we get to this equation, which is our price over 1 plus our rate times the time, so we can bring it back, which is what he does here in his solution. We just play it out.
So
We get the answer.
interesting.
Yeah. Again, I have to go see if that equation's somewhere in the PowerPoints. I don't know.
I did not see it. But I need to run. My husband is,
I'm wrapping up because the rest of them, I
need some time with.
yeah, I got to figure out before I mean, we could do another study session like this next week where we work through them. I'm gonna try and figure them out over the weekend. But I don't want to sit here and try and act like I'm tutoring when I'm learning it too. Are there any questions on what we have done so far that
Thank
I
you.
know might be able to help? No problem. Happy to help.
Thank you so much, Brad.
Of course, I hope that helped y'all out.
Yes, very much. Thank you.
No problem. Y'all have a good evening. If you have any questions, I'll be here for a minute if you have anything that we need to go over. I gotta write down this equation, P divided by, I'm
Bye,
gonna stop
everybody.
recording. Bye.
Bye.